Coming up on Valley View News, grocery workers are negotiating a new contract and are ready to strike. Plus, CSUN's volleyball team talks about mental health in their sport, and electric vehicles on display at CSUN.
Hello and welcome to Valley View News. I'm Elizabeth Campos.
And I'm Ruby Cordova in the Digital Media Center.
Ketanji Brown Jackson was confirmed to the Supreme Court last week. Several Republican senators, including Texas Senator Ted Cruz, walked out of the chamber during Jackson's standing ovation. However, Republican Mitt Romney stayed to applaud for her. He was one of the only 3 Republican senators to vote for her. We spoke to CSUN students about the first African-American woman to sit on the Supreme Court.
If you have a lot of diversity in a group like that, it provides you with more perspectives.
It's happy just to have like a black woman representing the black community.
Obviously it's something to celebrate, but it's also something that shouldn't be out of the ordinary. It should become more normal.
The Senate vote confirming Jackson was 53-47.
A federal appeals court upheld President Joe Biden's COVID-19 vaccine mandate for all federal employees. The judges voted 2-1, dismissing a challenge to the mandate. In September, Biden issued his executive order requiring all executive branch employees to be vaccinated. Those challenging the mandate pointed to a recent Supreme Court opinion. The opinion ruled that the government can't force private employers to get vaccinated.
Thousands gathered outside Los Angeles City Hall protesting vaccine mandates. City officials said the mandate slowed the spread of COVID-19 after cases started to rise again in California. The crowd included truckers and firefighters from across the country. Big rig drivers protesting included some from the so-called People's Convoy. LA County requires firefighters, police, and sheriff deputies to be fully vaccinated. As of last month, about 24 employees have been fired. This includes 12 fire department workers and several police officers.
21 states reported increases in COVID cases, but White House Chief Medical Advisor Dr. Anthony Fauci says much of the country is still in the green safe zone. The uptick is partly a result of the annual Gridiron Club dinner in Washington, D.C. More than 70 attendees tested positive for COVID. President Joe Biden didn't attend, but he did have contact with government officials who were there and who tested positive. Dr. Fauci isn't worried about the president's health, saying that the protocols to protect the president are strong.
The president is vaccinated. He's doubly boosted. He got his 4th shot of an mRNA. When we, people like myself and my colleagues, are in the room with him closely for a considerable period of time, half an hour, 20 minutes, 40 minutes, all of us need to be tested.
Fauci still urges people who are eligible to get vaccinated to do so.
Members of the United Food and Commercial Workers Union across Central and Southern California are ready to strike for a better contract. Valley View News reporter Vanessa Garcia met with some local union workers at Local 770.
The United Food and Commercial Workers Local Union 770 in Los Angeles gathered to support its grocery workers who are prepared to strike against Vons, Ralph's, Pavilions, and Albertsons. 7 unions across Central and Southern California want a contract that includes higher wages, safer stores, and better staffing. Raymond Smith, a Ralph's employee, says with COVID-19, a big concern is workers' health and safety.
Working through the pandemic was not easy. While many other people got to work from home, we did not have that choice.
The unions say all of the targeted stores made $4 billion in profits last year. However, workers like Kathleen Scott, an Albertsons worker, says she wants a salary that reflects her hard work.
What we're asking for is $5 over 3 years, which is barely enough to keep up with inflation. We are basically asking that we don't make less money when we go to work next year.
The companies offered an annual 60-cent per hour increase. Pepe Paredes, a Ralph's employee and college student, says his wage isn't enough to pay for classes.
Bucks, they don't pay themselves. Gas don't pay itself. Dorming don't pay itself. So
After constant negotiation, both the union and the companies have finally reached a tentative agreement covering wage increases, strong health benefits, and much more, now allowing grocery workers to step back and avoid going on strike outside their stores. Reporting from Los Angeles for Valley View News, I'm Vanessa Garcia.
A man died Sunday after being hit by two vehicles near Exposition Park. The driver of the first car hit him and fled. The driver of the second vehicle stayed. The victim was pronounced dead at the scene. The crash is under investigation. Police have no descriptions of the first vehicle that hit the man.
Los Angeles City Council voted Wednesday to resume ticketing RVs parked on city streets as a dwelling place. 2 years ago, the city suspended ticketing illegally parked RVs. At the time, LA received overwhelming support for the suspension. Now, the deadline to remove permanently parked RVs is May 15th. The city says RVs that don't run or aren't registered may be towed.
The Cedar Rapids Police Department is investigating a shooting that killed 2 people and injured 10. It happened at the Taboo nightclub and lounge. Police Chief Wayne German says 2 men fired more than a dozen shots inside the nightclub.
This is another mindless and senseless gun-related incident involving a reckless disregard for human life.
The shooting occurred just before 1:30 a.m. The gunman escaped with a crowd of people rushing to get out of the nightclub.
A federal jury acquitted 2 of 4 men accused of plotting to kidnap Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer. One of the other 2 defendants' attorneys says the mistrial shows a presumption of innocence continuing for his client, Adam Fox.
I think that the trial here has demonstrated that there's some serious shortcomings in the case. Obviously, with acquittals occurring with Mr. Caserta and Mr. Harris, says a lot about what's going on in the case.
The jury didn't reach a verdict for Fox and Barry Croft due to U.S. District Judge Robert Jonker declaring a mistrial for them. In a statement, Whitmer's chief of staff says the governor remains focused on her work, but emphasized there must be accountability and consequences for those who commit heinous crimes.
Texas Governor Greg Abbott's office is preparing about 900 buses to transport undocumented immigrants to Washington, D.C.
to help local officials whose communities are being overwhelmed by hordes of illegal immigrants who are being dropped off by the Biden administration. Texas is providing charter buses to send these illegal immigrants who have been dropped off by the Biden administration to Washington, D.C.
Abbott thinks undocumented immigrants should be closer to people in Washington, D.C., making policies allowing them to cross the border. The state said only immigrants who volunteer will be transported. White House spokesperson Jen Psaki called it all a publicity stunt.
A Texas woman is asking for clemency as her execution date approaches. Melissa Lucio was convicted of killing her 2-year-old daughter in 2007. Her lawyers say police coerced Lucio into confessing to the crime after a 5-hour interrogation. Texas Representative Victoria Niave Criado says the government executing Lucio is an irreversible injustice.
If the state executes her, despite all of the overwhelming evidence pointing to her innocence, her execution will be a stain on our state's morality.
Lucio's execution is set to take place April 27th. If she isn't pardoned, Lucio will be the first Latina to be executed in Texas.
President Biden nominated Admiral Linda L. Fagan to be the next U.S. Coast Guard Commandant. Fagan will be the first woman to lead military service branch. Fagan was also the first woman to be promoted to a 4-star rank in the Coast Guard. Senator Maria Cantwell, the chair of the Senate Commerce Committee, said Fagan's appointment will inspire generations of American women who want to serve at the highest level in the armed forces.
Black Lives Matter held its weekly rally outside of the Los Angeles Police Protective League office, protesting police brutality. Valley View News reporter Noe Ortega was there.
Every week, just across the street from the Los Angeles Police Protective League, members of Black Lives Matter Los Angeles protest police killings and alleged abuses.
As we think about these attacks, who's behind the attacks, why they're behind the attacks, and why they will fail.
The rallies are meant to give a voice to families whose loved ones were killed by police. DEANNA Sullivan's son, David Sullivan, was shot and killed by the Buena Park police in 2019.
And all I keep thinking is like, what I could have done for him, what I could have given him, the experiences. I mean, I've always tried to have my kids have a lot of experience.
Sheriff Alex Villanueva said in a statement that other states that defunded their police department regretted it and that defunding the police will ultimately hurt public safety. With the beginning of Ramadan, Black Lives Matter Los Angeles member HAJJAH KENYATTA Baker, who is Muslim, spoke of sacrifices made by people who fought for civil rights and justice. She poured water on a plant as she said their names.
Who are we lifting up? Marcus Garvey, absolutely, Ashe.
On the first Wednesday of Ramadan, Black Lives Matter Los Angeles rallied for those who have died from the hands of police officials and say they won't stop until the police department is completely defunded. Reporting from Los Angeles for Valley View News, I'm Noé Ortega.
More to come on Valley View News. An LA weekly night market unites lovers of food, music, and good times. And CSUN hosts an electric car show on campus.
First, we're going to cover some international news.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says tens of thousands of people may have been killed in the city of Mariupol. Zelensky said Russia completely destroyed the city and burned it to ashes.
Mariupol lies destroyed. Tens of thousands have been killed there, and still, the Russians won't end their offensive. They want to make an example out of Mariupol as a city ruin.
Speaking before South Korean lawmakers, he asked for military assistance. So far, South Korea has given Ukraine about $800,000 worth of non-lethal equipment like bulletproof helmets and medical kits. Seoul can only provide a limited amount of lethal weapons to Ukraine since North and South Korea are still technically in a state of war.
A DHL cargo jet slid off the runway and crashed while landing at San Jose International Airport in Costa Rica. The Boeing 757 took off from Juan Santa Maria Airport, but turned around after detecting a failure in the hydraulic system. Video showed the jet slowly losing control and going off the runway. The aircraft broke into two pieces, creating a large cloud of smoke. The airport was immediately shut down, impacting hundreds of flights. No injuries were reported. Both pilots were taken to the hospital for observation.
French President Emmanuel Macron is facing Marine Le Pen in the second round of the country's presidential election. Le Pen is the daughter of the far-right presidential candidate Jean-Marie Le Pen. Macron is seeking to be the first French president to be re-elected since Jacques Chirac in 2002. Macron beat Le Pen 5 years ago, but experts suggest that a second contest between the two would be a closer race in 2017.
2 out of 10 eligible Mexican voters cast ballots Sunday on whether their president should end his 6-year term midway or continue to the end. Lorenzo Cordova is president of the National Electoral Institute. Estimates that 90% of voters want López Obrador to remain in office. In the past, only 7% of voters who participated in referendums didn't support former presidents.
Once a week, people go to the Boomtown Brewery for the vegan playground events where vendors sell food, lotions, and jewelry. Our reporter Natalie Sierra was there.
Vegans and non-vegans come together at Vegan Playground weekly to enjoy food, drinks, and art. Tuya Leatherwood is here for the first time with her mother.
It's cute. It's really holistic. I really vibe with that. They have great price. They have good options for people. I love the copper jewelry station, and I love the oils and the butters.
The night market has 25 vegan vendors, food trucks, and a DJ. A variety of jewelry, clothes, oils, and skin lotions are also sold. Diana Colmenar owns Vegan Playground. She says she wanted to bring the community together.
I really wanted to make it fun and lighthearted and a little bit different than most vegan events out there.
Tom Ognabeni of Devi's Donuts says he likes the people here.
And I love just in general coming together with other vegans, like-minded people, having great vegan food, and just having some fun.
Some non-vegans enjoyed the food as well. Chris Santizo says he felt very welcome.
My friends invited me for some vegan food. I'm a total meat eater, but I'm open to new possibilities.
The Vegan Playground takes place every Wednesday night from 5 to 9 p.m. here at the Boomtown Brewery. Reporting from Los Angeles for Valley View News, I'm Natalie Sierra.
President Biden nominated a new ATF chief and then proposed legislation to stop the use of ghost guns. Ghost guns are privately made firearms that don't have serial numbers. They're increasingly being used in violent crimes. Biden says his new proposed regulations would save lives. Congress has stood in the way of most gun control legislation for the past decade. Gun lobbyist groups vow to fight the regulation.
A radical environmental group says it wants people to puncture car tires as a way to combat climate change. The group Adbusters used Twitter to give step-by-step directions on how to puncture tires. They're targeting SUVs in wealthy neighborhoods, hoping to hurt the automotive industry. Many people responded on Twitter saying the practice is dangerous. Adbusters says they'll non-violently escalate their methods to fight climate change. Twitter says this is abusive behavior and it's been used to harass and intimidate.
Amazon workers in New York City voted to form the company's first U.S. union. Now, Amazon wants a do-over election. The company filed 25 objections with the National Labor Relations Board for an appeal. Amazon says the NLRB's regional office unfairly oversaw the election and helped pro-union side. Among the claims, Amazon says that the agency failed to adequately staff the polls and it reduced the number of employees needed to work the election. Amazon has 2-week extension to file proof supporting their objections to the vote.
A SpaceX capsule arrived at the International Space Station. It's carrying 3 paying customers and a former NASA astronaut. Former NASA astronaut Michael Lopez Algira is commanding the mission. The other passengers are Israeli businessman Atan Siba, Canadian investor Mark Pathy, and realtor Larry Connor. The mission is launched from Kennedy Space Center in Florida Friday. This is the first leg of the 10-day mission.
Walmart is raising pay for their long-haul truck drivers to between $95,000 and $110,000 a year. Walmart is struggling to fill the demand for truck drivers. The truck driver shortage is hurting supply chains for many stores. 70% of American freight is moved on trucks. Other companies are raising their pay for truck drivers as well.
Tesla CEO Elon Musk said he won't be joining the board of Twitter after all. He recently became the tech company's largest single shareholder and pledged to join the board. Twitter CEO Parag Agrawal tweeted the news. Agrawal said that Musk didn't have a reason for the reversal. Musk was scheduled to hold a question and answer session with Twitter employees this week. However, the event was canceled.
CSUN hosted an electric car show on campus emphasizing the importance of sustainability. I stopped by the event to learn more.
Automakers Electromeccanica and Porsche were all at the electric vehicle car show hosted by CSUN's Sustainability Department and the College of Social and Behavioral Sciences. The show promotes the importance of electric vehicles for the environment. Electromechanica's Hans Heilman explains.
With an electric vehicle, not only are you reducing smog emissions, and you are saving the environment by not having as much CO2 emissions.
Congress approved $7.5 billion to fund EV charging stations nationwide. Zach Jennings' company Chargy sells EV chargers to businesses, schools, and apartment complexes. He thinks that the transition from gas to electric needs to be made sooner.
People have this misconception that EVs are difficult or it's hard to have the range to go and have a normal driving experience. But if you have the infrastructure in place and you do have a vehicle that's equivalent price of a gas vehicle, but with all the benefits of an EV.
Porsche, which manufactures mostly gas vehicles, released their first all-electric car, the Porsche Taycan. Porsche dealer Scott Stanley says that he's seen a higher demand for EVs.
We've had a wide variety of demographics coming into Porsche, people getting their first Porsche, being an electric car, and some people even their first electric car.
With gas prices on the rise in California, so are the sale of electric vehicles. California is looking to ban the manufacturing of gas vehicles by the year 2035. Reporting from Northridge for Valley View News, I'm Elizabeth Campos.
When we come back, a Steelers quarterback dies after being struck by a dump truck. Also, Johnny Depp's lawsuit against Amber Heard begins with jury picks. Stay with us.
Hi, Meals on Wheels. I'm Marco. I'm a college student and I volunteer as a driver for Meals on Wheels. I think it's awesome meeting these people. I mean, they're so interesting. They've had so many wonderful experiences in life. Your community helps to raise you up into the person that you become. Meals on Wheels is a great way to give back to that community.
I tried Oxy at a couple of parties. I thought I had it under control. I didn't know it'd be this addictive. I didn't know how far I'd go to get more.
Opioid dependence can happen after just 5 days. Know the truth, spread the truth.
Will Smith is banned from attending the Oscars for the next 10 years. This comes after he slapped comedian Chris Rock during the Oscars. Smith already resigned from the Academy so he couldn't be suspended or expelled. He also apologized to the Academy in his acceptance speech and apologized to Rock online the next day. Now, Smith can't announce the winner of next year's Best Actress winner, which would have been his job at the next Oscars.
Saturday morning, Pittsburgh Steelers quarterback Dwayne Haskins was struck and killed by a dump truck in Florida. Haskins was trying to cross Interstate's 595 westbound lanes when he was hit. The 24-year-old played for Ohio State and was a 2018 Heisman Trophy finalist. Ohio State placed a memorial outside of their stadium to pay respect.
Me growing up, I watched a lot of Ohio State football. I remember him. I remember everything he did for the school. He was a big reason about why I came here.
The incident was reported shortly after 6:30 in the morning. Highway Patrol says it doesn't know why Haskins was walking along the highway. Haskins was in South Florida working out with his teammates.
The Los Angeles Lakers officially parted ways with head coach Frank Vogel. He was fired after the Lakers' final game against the Denver Nuggets. The Lakers won 146-141. They closed the season with a 33-49 record. Vogel was the Lakers' 27th head coach in the franchise history. He led them to a championship win in 2020. The Lakers entered the 2022 season as West Conference favorites. However, they didn't make it to the playoffs.
Athletes are under pressure to always perform. However, when they lose, that can affect their mental health. Our reporter Brenna White spoke with CSUN's men's volleyball team about what keeps them going.
There are only a few games left for the California State University Northridge men's volleyball team. They started off the season on a high, then they went on a 7-game losing streak. Olumide Allen says what's most important now is having good team chemistry.
One thing that we really preach, like in practice and in games and stuff, is like, worry about yourself, but also be there for your brother, be there for your teammate.
These players tend to encourage each other in hard times, like during a losing streak, but some people wonder how losing affects their mental health. Clinical counselor Erin Burns says it's crucial for players to support each other.
So we want to focus on the positives. So hit that ball over the net. High five, you did great. You hit that over the net. Your serve was so powerful, right? We want to be doing that encouragement.
The Matadors got their losing streak behind them after beating UC San Diego, but they still don't have a winning record. Kyle HOBUS says he's still very confident in his team.
One of the things that we've had to learn, it's one of the lessons that we've really pushed this year, is just pushing past adversity and these losses and stuff, because we know that as a team we can compete with these top 10 teams and top 15 teams.
No matter what happens this season, the CSUN men's volleyball team says that their main focus is the Big West tournament. Reporting from Northridge for Valley View News, I'm Brenna White.
Egyptian swimmer Omar Higazi broke 2 Guinness World Records with one leg. He lost one of his legs in a motorcycle accident. The 31-year-old won the long-distance swim underwater with one breath, going for 56.48 meters. Higazi also broke the long-distance swim underwater with one breath with fins with a record of 76.7 meters. On social media, Higazi shared a photo of himself holding his certificate. He wrote saying that nothing beats the journey. Besides swimming, Higazi is also a motivational speaker and advocates for people with disabilities.
Olympic figure skater Alyssa Leo announced her retirement on Instagram. The 16-year-old skater shared that she's been skating for 11 years and accomplished her goals.
I didn't really know why I was skating. I just skated because it was fun and I was with my friends all the time. But after, during the COVID season last year, I had more time to think about why.
Leo didn't give details on why she retired.
More than 200 California state parks will let anyone with a library card to enter the parks for free. Starting this week, the California state parks will distribute the California State Library Park Pass. It's available for checkout at your local library and will allow free vehicle day use entry. However, the pass won't be recognized at state parks operated by local or federal governments. The passes are funded by the 2021-2022 state budget. The goal is to advance access to state parks for all Californians.
Actor Johnny Depp's $50 million lawsuit defamation against his ex-wife Amber Heard begins this week. The suit combats the allegation that abuses Heard during their 3-year marriage. This case is centered around an op-ed Heard published in the Washington Post in 2019. Heard wrote that she was a public figure representing domestic abuse. However, the piece did not mention Depp by name. Depp also filed a similar lawsuit against the Sun in 2020 after it described him as a wife-beater. That trial ended with the judge ruling that it was substantially true and Depp lost.
And that's all for us at Valley View News. I'm Elizabeth Campos.
And I'm Ruby Cordova. For stories any time of the day, go to our website, csunvalleyview.edu. Thanks for watching.